Hello everybody, welcome to our day early comics review video. I'm Jason,
I'm Andy.
and we're with Infinity Flux Comics out of Chattanooga, Tennessee. So every Tuesday after we're done bagging and boarding all the comics, we divide them up. We read the ones that we think most people want to hear about or ones we just personally can't wait to see what's going on in them. And then we do this little review video that we call our spoiler light review video. So what I mean by that is we'll tell you if there's a major first appearance. We'll tell you what's major about the books for collectability sake.
Mhm.
But then after that, and I think more importantly, we talk about what happens in the books without revealing too much. Often, a new book will come out. Like this week, we got Image's Slumber Number One. If you read the solicitation on it, you're still going to be like, I don't really get what this book's about. I'm going to tell you what it's about from the perspective of somebody who's read it, but without doing just a point by point thing.
Mhm.
So that way, when you read it, you're still going to get a lot of enjoyment. It's all meant to just prepare you for whenever you go into your shop on Wednesday or Saturday, whatever day you drop by, and knowing which titles you to be most interested in. So I'll start off by saying this is a little bit of a small week,
Mhm.
which sometimes we need a some room to breathe in comics. We had some really big ones a few weeks
Yeah.
ago. So I think this is going to be a little bit of a quick show, but still some awesome titles to go over, many of which are in front of us. The rest are off to the sides. We're also going to show off some variants, some incentive covers. So let's get underway.
Yes. I like when you say after we're bagging and boarding the comics. Sometimes it's still in the process when we grab
That
the
is
comics to
true.
go
Yeah,
read.
they're still on the floor finishing the bagging and boarding because some of
Yes.
them arrived pretty last minute
That's how
today.
fresh and hot these comics are. Not even packaged yet.
We need a hot comics glowing light.
Oh man,
Like,
that'd be so cool.
yeah.
Hot fresh comics. Okay, to start off with, and I kind of like when they do a smaller week, we get really big books in that week. It's like, when a new movie drops, you don't want to release any other things around it because you don't want to take away from that or have to compete with it.
The Batman had that effect. There was like
Yes,
no other movies out that week or the following week.
because I feel like that's how Batman Superman World's Finest number one is. So this one, they have been teasing this. We had a little couple page preview a while ago, but this is the number one. This is by Mark Waid, making his big return to DC, who has done some of the biggest DC stories of all time, like Kingdom Come. I mean, he is no stranger to these characters. And artist Dan Mora, who is another incredible artist, been working on Detective Comics recently, but they are teaming up for this, what feels like an event book without being an event book because of just like the caliber that they're doing with this. So this is really fun. Bringing back the title of World's Finest, kind of a classic title of pretty much meaning the teaming up of Batman and Superman. And this harkens to those older World's Finest in many ways. So, what is this book about? What I mean, Batman and Superman team up all the time. What's so special? This is actually set in the past. The it says like not too distant past, but the more I was reading, it's like no, this is pretty long ago. Um, so this is one of the early team ups of Batman and Superman, and like in it, I think Robin is Dick Grayson. I'm not sure about that. It's kind of hard to tell unless he flat out says his name. But at least in this, Lois does not know that Clark Kent and Superman are the same person. That's how old this is. Um, this is such a kind of love letter and in the spirit of Silver Age comics, the classic um, big DC titles, but with modern storytelling and modern art. And I think that's what is the best selling point of this is it feels light and fun, but still with stakes. And I love that. So in this, there is an attack on Metropolis by Poison Ivy. So they're already playing with those, taking villains from one city, throw them into another. She doesn't like that Metropolis is a metropolis and it's covering the earth, and she is going to tear down the buildings and do whatever she's going to do. But she's also teamed up with Metallo. So we've got the Batman villain and the Superman villain. And to stop them, we have Batman and Superman. Now, uh, I'm not going to give away the whole thing, but basically what happens is um, Metallo has a trick for stopping Superman and knowing that he is the Kryptonite Man, the man with the Kryptonite heart, which I believe was his debut story title that's homaged in this. He has something to do with the downfall of Superman currently, and Batman needs to find help for Superman, and he turns to another very smart person. I'll let you read it. It's so much fun. It brings back some very classic characters, but there is also this kind of looming shadowy threat in the background that like are all of these things working for someone else.
It's going to be Jerry Seinfeld.
Well, spoiler on one of the covers. Um, but I really like this. This could be easily a one-shot story, for the most part, a one-shot story or a mini-series or whatever. But this is going to be an ongoing series, and I'm so excited about that because I feel like this is such a fun time frame to explore, where Batman and Superman are still kind of learning each other, that they can rely on each other, and they do know the big thing that bonds them is they know each other's secret identity. So we're kind of past that point. So they trust each other, but they don't fully understand kind of the abilities of each other. But easily my favorite read this week. I just think it's so much fun. Mark Waid's writing, Dan Moore's art is incredible. Highly recommend this one. I think it may be, I'm not sure if it's oversized or not, but it took me a little bit longer reading it just because I was kind of drinking in the art and all the fun of this issue. This is our A cover by Dan Mora. Then we have some great variants as well. So we have another World's Finest duo. This one by Art Germ of Supergirl and Stephanie Brown Batgirl.
It's a very nice cover.
You kind of think that you can also make other World's Finest pairings. We've got the Jim Lee variant. Gotta have, that's how you know it's a big book, is when Jim Lee does a cover for it. We've got the Jason Feybach cover. Here's the big one that everyone's going to be talking about. The other member of World's Finest, Jerry Seinfeld.
There he is, the man in the shadows.
This cover was supposed to be, I believe, a 1 in 100. But people kind of demanded it so much they can get it that they made a non-virgin version with the trade dress on it to be an open order variant, and then the 1 in 100 is the virgin variant. So you can get this for just cover price of $3.99.
I mean, it's perfect because, you know, Seinfeld loves Superman, so it's him and Superman, and he also loves classic cars. So they've stolen the Batmobile, and Batman's trying to stop him.
He probably wishes Superman had a better car. He's like, I guess we can take the Batmobile. And then we have some variants, some incentive variants that are super cool. So we have the 1 in 25 Zdarsky variant of Batman slapping Superman. But wait, there's more. There is also Superman slapping Batman. Who's on Team Batman and who's on Team Superman? Who should get slapped? Each of those are $25 each. These are pretty incredible. People are loving those. And then we have a 1 in 50 we're selling to our customers for $20. The big high-fiving BFFs. This one is by Doc Shaner, and we are selling this for $20.
All right, so I'm going to start with a big number one as well. This one from Marvel.
Does it also star Jerry Seinfeld?
No, certainly not. This is Carnage number 1. No room in there for Seinfeld and his jokes and shenanigans in this. So this is a new ongoing series for Carnage. This is actually his third ongoing series that he's ever had, which, you know, Carnage has been around since the 90s. So that's, you know, they don't give him a lot of ongoing series. This directly follows the one-shot Carnage Forever, which came out last month. And Carnage Forever was written by several people because it was a bit of an anthology thing. But One of the stories in it was by Ram V, who is the writer for this. And what happened in that one shot does continue in this. It doesn't start right there, but the repercussions of it. Basically, he has imprisoned Hydro Man,
Mm.
and you get to see more of what's going on with that in this issue. However, you can't have a Carnage book where you just follow him. All you would see is people getting killed all over. You've got to have who are the good guys or the people trying to stop him. And just like the previous Carnage ongoing series, which was back from, I think, 2015, it follows a detective at first. So there's a new detective in this. So, first appearance of Detective Jonathan Shade. Now, with a name like that, is there any chance something bad isn't going to
Something maybe
infect this guy?
shady.
Or yeah, and that's Shade with a YDE, so even like the cool way.
Yeah, yeah.
Okay, so first appearance of Detective Jonathan Shade, and he's looking for a serial killer who fancies himself an artist. So he doesn't just kill people; he leaves them hanging in weird ways with this strange art. Um, it sort of reminded me, I can't remember what season of Dexter they had a serial killer who was doing something like that. But so right away, he's looking for this artist who is leaving these dead bodies everywhere. And it's kind of neat. So you get the first appearance of who the artist is. They don't try to hide it or obscure it,
Mm.
nor do we with first appearances in books. So it's a first appearance of this character named Kenneth Neely. He is the serial killer artist, and he's trying to get in touch with Carnage. That's what he's doing with the art.
Mm.
So you will see that happen in this book. And what's neat is Carnage compares what he does to this guy's serial killer art. Like there's a little discussion on here's what I do and here's what you do. You'll have to read where that goes because this guy clearly is interested in becoming Carnage. And let's just say his arc is not done in this, so it's easy to imagine. Oh, Carnage probably just kills him. It's not that simple. Okay, so we got the first appearance of Detective, first appearance of this Kenneth Neely, this demented artist. But also, what is Carnage doing with Hydro Man? You get a little bit more on that. He has a plan. It's not just that he just grabbed this guy for no reason. It's something to do with the powers. And I'm not saying the whole thing's revealed, but I think Carnage is trying to up his power set. And I think within the next issue or two, we're going to see that. Um, in addition, what happens with Carnage now that he's not with Cletus Cassidy? So Cletus Cassidy is not in this book, and that is addressed. The Carnage is by himself. He doesn't have a host. And I can tell that's going to be sort of the crux, at least for this first arc, if not for the entire book, of how does a symbiote get around that if they're going to, which I'm really interested in. So there's all that. Then there's a surprise backup story. So the backup story doesn't seem like it has a lot to do with the forward momentum plot. It's just a neat story, but pretty much is about a bullied kid who goes to Carnage and asks Carnage to kill his bullies. So that's the backup story.
Wow.
Very, very heartwarming. And then there's one more surprise. At the end, just like we had at the end of Carnage Forever, there is comic strip comics by Ty Templeton. He does one in the style of Peanuts with Carnage as Snoopy pretending to be the Red Baron. And he does one in the style of the Wizard of Id. So I just really like it. That's just sort of the cherry on top of the sundae, which is this great first issue of the new ongoing series. I highly recommend it. It was a great read, a lot of fun, and I was really surprised even after the main story. There was that secondary story that was good, and then the Ty Templeton comics. So of course, a lot of variants for this. You know, a lot of people say Marvel, too many variants. I wonder how many artists go to Marvel and are like, new Carnage series. Could I
Yeah.
do one? A lot of people, a lot of artists want to do the symbiote covers. So we have, this is the Brian Hitch variant. Carnage is beating everybody up. Look at that. He's beating down Spider-Man, Venom, just everyone. Here is the Pinosian variant. Lots of red. At least some of that is probably blood. Then we have the Ron Lim variant. I think that one's really cool. The title just works real well.
Yeah.
Here is the Mark Bagley variant.
It's interesting too with Ram V writing that, and he's also one of the writers of Venom.
Yeah,
You know,
that's
wonder if we're
true.
gonna get
Some
any.
sort of crossover
Yeah,
between them, maybe. Here's the 1 in 25 Bianchi variant we're selling to our customers for $25. And lastly, here is the 1 in 50 Sakara variant we're selling to our customers for $35.
awesome. Well, now we have the second issue of Star Wars Halcyon Legacy. This was kind of a hit after the fact. I feel like a lot of people came in once they started seeing some videos of the new Disney hotel and everything, wanting to jump on board with this. So uh, glad it's having a second printing and everything because we're needing it. But issue 2 is great. So issue 1 took us all the way back to the High Republic, and this is set in kind of modern day Star Wars continuity, but there's a droid there that just likes to tell stories, and he's always got, oh, well, let me tell you about when this happened like this before. Uh, and the current thing is the Halcyon is getting attacked by the pirate Crimson Jack, who is kind of a classic Star Wars pirate character. Um, and a little girl is scared because to get away from the pirates, this ship is about to jump into a what kind of storm is it? A solar storm. So, but the droid has a story about that, and that takes us back to what we see on this cover. This beautiful cover. We see Aura Singh, the bounty hunter, and Zam Wessel down there from episode 2. She doesn't get a whole lot of books and screen time and everything, but this is a really cool story about a vacation that Aura Singh and Zam are taking on the Halcyon, and a man seeks out their help, and they're like, "No, we're on vacation." And he's like, "Well, I've got all these credits, and these huts are hunting me down because I can't pay my debt." And so this is just a little story about them trying to protect them, going up against this big creature on a planet from this big hunting thing that he's hoping to make a big payday off of for hunting this ancient beast and everything. Really fun issue. We also get a first appearance of Linka Mock, who is the cruise director. And anytime they start introducing these characters, I'm like, there has to be a live action version of those characters at the park. So that's the first appearance of her, and the first appearance of Colram Vestig, who is the guy who hires the bounty hunters for this mission. So really fun, just one and done issue. The next one is going to be set with Anakin and Padme, so we're still in the prequel era stuff, but this is really a fun issue and part of the series. We've got the Slimy cover. You can see some more of the characters that are involved in this. And then we have the Lopez variant, where you see her hunting that big beast on the planet.
All right, so I checked out Detective Comics issue 1057. If it feels like I talk a lot about Detective Comics, it's because it's been a weekly series for 11 weeks in a row now. So that means this was going to be a 12-issue weekly event, Arkham Tower. This is the second to last issue. So next issue is the end of Arkham Tower. So you know that a lot of stuff is going down, including in this issue. So, Batman is back. That's the main thing. So Batman has not been in Detective Comics for the last 10 issues. He was off doing the international stuff with Batman Inc., which you could read about in Batman that Williamson's been writing. But he is back in Gotham, and this is when just all the bad stuff has hit the fan at once. Last issue, we saw Nightwing thrown out a window. Scarecrow is free. So out of all the patients who could take over, of course it's got to be like one of the worst ones. And he still has that really scary outfit he had from Fear State. Meanwhile, also in the building, the party crashes are in there. The inmates are loose. I mean, everything is just crazy and bad. As I say, Nightwing is sort of down for the count, but it's all right. Batman's there. I mean, once Batman's there, you know he can solve whatever.
Dad gets home and sees the destruction. He goes, "Oh, you kids."
Yeah. So, but that's not all there is to it because Mayor Nakano's wife has she has been stuck in there the whole time too, and the inmates and all the bad guys have realized it the last few issues, and she is just the sort of person they need to torment the mayor, to torment Gotham. But a few issues ago, she ran into Psycho Pirate. Psycho Pirate was the one who was controlling everybody. This has been well established issues and issues ago.
Weeks ago.
And he's been injured though, and he can't control everyone anymore. So by the end of this issue, Mayor Nakano's wife has a big decision to make, and let's just say the decision she makes might even grant her a new power.
Wow.
Which I guess I should say a power. She doesn't have any power other than she's just
Public speaking.
Yeah, public speaking or something. So that's the big sort of wow moment in this one. You'll just have to read it to see what exactly that is. So otherwise, there is more of the backup story, House of Gotham, that has also been weekly. And in this House of Gotham, which is moving more and more into the present day, the Joker's actually in it for a bit. We haven't seen him in this in ages. So Joker makes an appearance in the House of Gotham, backup story. And what more is there to say?
I think we got, one more part to this?
One more. Yep. Next issue. 1058 is the end of Arkham Tower, and then Detective Comics goes back to being a monthly book with whatever next arc they'll be doing after this one, which has been a real whirlwind. Especially with, so much of the Bat family just holding this whole thing up. So here is the variant by Lee Bermejo. Bermejo said, "Everyone says my covers are too dark. So I'm going to put a light right there shining in your face." It looks great, though.
Okay, next up I have a very interesting one that I talk about not knowing anything going into it. But, I mean, the cover's awesome. This is Rad Wraith #1 from Black Caravan. You can see you got this zombie dude on a monster skateboard.
And I imagine that skateboard's not painted. It really is like a monster.
It actually is a monster. Okay. Funny enough that you should mention that is brought up in this. So, what is Rad Wraith about? This is really fun. It doesn't take itself too seriously, and that is definitely the highlight of it. So, it is about a boy named Grom, which is very unfortunate. I don't know if it's a nickname or his real name. But in school, he's kind of a puny kid, but he really wants to skateboard. And his parents don't want him to skateboard. And I don't know if it's this world or just this school or whatever. It's kind of obsessed with skateboarding. And there's this group of older kids who are really cool that skateboard. And he wants to join their group. Well, they say, well, if you want to be a part of our group, which they know this is a bad idea, but they're just, kind of bullying him. You've got to drop into the half pipe that's out in the old graveyard. So there's a half pipe out in the graveyard, which is already, it shows like a scene of it, and it kind of looks like it's got a scary face on it, surrounded by tombstones. So that night he goes out there, and the rumor is that anyone who drops into this half pipe dies. Well, what happens? He goes down, and a old nail that's sticking out catches his skateboard, and he crashes and seemingly dies. Well, the group is like, we're not going to be responsible for this, and we're in a graveyard, so we should bury him in the graveyard. But what I didn't say about this is kind of being narrated by a Crypt Keeper type character. Really funny, and the Crypt Keeper character comes in at this point to say, but what these kids didn't know is that this graveyard was built on an ancient Indian skate park. So,
I hate when that happens.
As you can imagine, that is how the Rad Wraith is born, seeking vengeance and just comeuppance of these bad kids in school, donning his monster skateboard. He goes out and does what you imagine he does, but with some sick tricks along the way and everything. This does seem to be maybe not an what you would traditionally call an ongoing series, because it says the next issue comes out this summer. I think it's more of like you're gonna get little parts and just whenever
the creative team.
But I think that's really fun. The next one is called a number 2, but if you want just a really fun read, really goofy, out there, but really good art, this is by Tristan Gallagher, and the art is by Christian DeBari, and that's his art on the cover. Definitely check this out.
When I die, bury me in a graveyard with a half pipe.
Yeah, I mean, it's so I don't know, the romanticizing of that. You know, I think Jane Austen wrote about a graveyard like that.
Okay, so I read an indie book myself, Slumber #1 from Image Comics. This is very interesting. I think a lot of people are going to like this one. So it begins with 2 detectives, and they're investigating something called the sleepwalking killings. So what has happened is 7 different murders have happened in different places, all, in different time periods. And the people who have committed the murders all claim that they were asleep and they don't remember anything about doing it. So they were all sleep murdering. And at each of the scenes of the crime, there are these symbols drawn in blood and a message that says, "I seek the Dream Eater." So that's kind of your setup for this is going on in this world. Okay, well, then we get our main character. Our main character is a dream detective. She also calls herself a nightmare hunter. And she has a service where she'll go into your sleep and she will fight your nightmares to where they are gone forever. So that's sort of our main character. So we have our 2 detectives who don't believe in this. Then we have her. I dare say they're on a collision course to meet. And by the end of this book, they do. At least one of them meets her. So we get to see, like, in the regular world, the art's is a lot more grittier.
Mm-hmm.
But in the dream world, the art is really loopy, crazy. It reminded me, I guess, a lot of like sort of Chew art style. Just that manic, crazy, sort of art. And our main character, the dream detective, you get to see her go on a mission. And you get to learn that she's seen a lot of bad things. I mean, if your job is going in people's nightmares, you've seen some terrible things. And she herself also has a troubled past that isn't revealed yet. We just know that she has it. And she's not alone. She has a little team. She has like a partner who seems to be like a zombie. It's not really clarifying this issue, but it is clear that he likes to eat human flesh in dreams.
Okay.
So I think it's
then
all right.
It's fine.
In dreams.
It's fine.
And they have a person on the outside, sort of like a Matrix style, I'll open the door for you. You got to get out of the dream. So I like these kinds of setups. I like these kinds of premises. I mean, when you're doing things in dreams, that just opens up any possibility to what they could end up doing. I think it's neat because you're going to probably end up in the dreams of certain people that you know in this book, and you'll get to learn more about them through it. And, serial killer stuff is always fun to read about. This is my second serial killer book today because Carnage has serial killers in it as well. So that is my short review for Slumber #1 from Image. I think this one is going to be a hit and very appealing to people who like many things, really.
Yeah.
So check out these variant covers, though. This first one I really like a lot. So this variant is by Cardinelli, who is the interior artist on this book. So I mean, I think this should have been the main cover, honestly. And then we have, here's the 1 in 25 Luna variant we're selling for $25 to our customers. That is our main character. And yes, she brings shotguns into people's dreams. I don't know if they're real or how that works.
Or dream shotguns?
Yeah, I'm not sure, but she is partial to a shotgun. Here's the 1 in 50 Clunan variant we're selling to our customers for $35. So, what's great is on a small week like this where there's less books, you can take a risk and get an indie book. So I'm glad there's a strong indie book out this week that I think people will really
Yeah,
dig.
yeah, and it gives me kind of vibes of almost like Psychonauts, like going into people's minds or dreams and maybe seeing corrupted versions of things in their life and
Yeah, yeah. I mean, as somebody who's played those games
yeah.
too, I'm surprised I didn't draw that comparison until you just said that. But yes,
But yeah, I like that imagining hyper imagination version of what's inside somebody's head.
it's like Psychonauts, but a bit more adult.
Yeah,
That's what I would
yeah,
say.
and the art in that was really cool. It's a little a little like Scotty Young's like I Hate Fairyland
Right. Yeah,
with
I
those
can see that.
colors.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think this is going to appeal to a big swath of people. It kind of hits a lot of different demographics. Okay, so my next one is. Make sure I grab the right one. Yes, this is our final issue of X Lives of Wolverine. So this is another one that has felt almost like a weekly book, but it's because it's been bouncing back and forth between X Lives and X Deaths. And I've really enjoyed this. It's pretty ambitious of a story, sending Wolverine, his mind, back to repopulate his past self and kind of take over and control those bits and everything. But we've gotten a lot of really cool time frames to see and explore Wolverine's past while he's fighting Omega Red and trying to stop Omega Red from killing either Professor X or a descendant or an ancestor of Professor X. So in this one, as you can imagine, this is the final culmination of the fight between Wolverine and Omega Red. And in this, it's the moment where they're kind of both in the same place at the same time. And what's cool about this is since Omega Red he's kind of projecting himself too. Like he's in the main time frame, but he's inhabiting bodies. Wolverine is actually getting a little bit inside Omega Red's head. And by doing that, he figures out where Omega Red has been kind of broadcasting from. So in the dream, they've been fighting and everything, but now Wolverine is going to take the fight to him in the real world. Now, what's cool is you see all their fights throughout history, and then you get a current fight. So the ones throughout history are really cool because it's all these different incarnations of them, and it's very small panels. This is a very dirty, rough, bloody fight they have. Really fun. And then what's cool is the current fight actually has a definitive winner. Now, of course, that comes with a lot of stipulations, but I do like that you get this and it's not they both walk away or that a tree falls between them and they have to run the opposite direction. No, this is a great final issue. But what I also thought was interesting is the end of this does lead into the next issue of X Deaths of Wolverine, which this book hasn't really done too much. It's kind of nodded to its sister series, but never been like a direct tie. But we can tell what's going to be happening in X Deaths by the end of this one. So, really good final issue. The fights are awesome, and yeah, I'm very happy with this series, and I'll be excited to see how the next one wraps up because I know these are going to be collected in one volume, and I then kind of want to see how the final issue of X Deaths will kind of tie it all up, even this series. So that is X Lives of Wolverine number 5.
Because X Deaths is the next one, number 5, and then that's the end.
Then that's it. Okay. Yeah, and I'm interested to see also what's going to be coming next. So we have the Fernandez variant. This one's very interesting. This is the Bagley variant with a little skinny Wolverine. And you actually do see this version of Wolverine in there. It's pretty interesting what time frame this one is taken from. And we have a really awesome Dodderman variant where you get all the different Wolverines.
Okay, so I read Reckoning War Trial of the Watcher one shot today. And I have to say, okay, so are you reading the Fantastic Four Reckoning War stuff, people out there watching this show? Well, good news, you don't have to read this issue. And this was my surprise favorite read of the week. And I'm going to tell you why. Okay, so Uatu is in trouble with the other Watchers. You know, he has meddled in human affairs many times over the years.
Yeah.
So in this issue, they have arrested him. And you get to see what the Watchers do to punish one of their own. So, what is it? I'm not going to tell you exactly, but I'll tell you something about it. What is it? Well, of course, they make you watch something. And this isn't done as a comedy, although it did make me laugh a little bit. So, first off, I got to tell you some about, the trial's already over. That's done. This is like, here's your punishment.
Yeah.
And basically, Owatu tells them straight up, he's like, I don't feel bad interfering in human affairs. He's like, what I did is save the humans over and over again. Like, I don't feel bad about it at all. And before they get to his punishment, the head dude basically says to him, oh yeah, well, I know what you've been up to. In fact, I also know that you've been staring off into space, dreaming up all these what if scenarios. And Owatu is like kind of embarrassed. And he's like, yeah, I've watched all those what ifs that you thought of and all the different things, but there's one what if you never thought of. And this is the one we're going to punish you with. What if you never got involved? So this issue turns into a what if.
That's
and
cool.
It's a what if Owatu never affected things in the first place, so it goes back to the first appearance of Silver Surfer and Galactus when they appear on Earth, because of course that's where Owatu, he put this force field around the planet so Galactus couldn't destroy it right away, which gave the Fantastic Four time to get the ultimate nullifier and all. Well, this is Dan Slott telling a whole different story of what would have happened if Owatu didn't do anything, and it's a really good story. It's an awesome one-shot. It's really cool. That's all I'm going to say about it. You should go read it because I thought it was done really well, really good luck guessing what happens in it. Some things happen and I wouldn't have guessed. Of course, it's all a what if, but it's just a really good one.
Yeah.
So whether you've been reading Reckoning War or not, this is one to read if you're interested in that situation, like a whole different way that the Galactus Silver Surfer scenario could have played out. So, surprise favorite of the week, Reckoning War, Trial of the Watcher one shot by Dan Slott.
I wish they kind of marketed it that way as like a what if.
That is what this show's about. I know. As I got into this, I was like, "Oh man, I see what they're doing here." And I mean, that's 3/4 of the issue is just a whole new retelling, and it's really cool. It's not going to change the Marvel universe. It's just a good story. Yeah. All right. So we got a variant here by this is Peach. The Peach Momoko variant. Which I like that one. I think this is good.
It's very different.
Seeing her do the Fantastic Four. And then we have the Rodriguez Carnage Forever variant. He's got a big head there. And then lastly, here's the 1 in 25 Noto variant that we're selling. What are we selling this for? To our customers for $20.
Okay, my next one. Back with another DC one. This is Robin's number 4 of 5. Now, this is interesting. If you see on the cover the reflections of the characters, some of them are a little familiar, like Dick Grayson in his secret agent Grayson garb. Spoiler looking pretty similar on the other side, but Damian looks like a monk. And Jason Todd looks like a race car driver. So, this is really cool. Speaking of what ifs, this is kind of a what if story. Less ethereal or whatever, but the Robins have to go through a kind of gauntlet where they have to play out a situation of what if Batman hadn't interfered with their lives? What if they hadn't become Robin? So I think Batman was still there, because a lot of these wouldn't have led to these outcomes if Batman wasn't there. But what if they hadn't become Robin? So we actually see things like, Dick Grayson would have actually been a secret agent. Like, he would have continued with that life with, I think they're called Spiral, the agency. Stephanie Brown leads the Teen Titans. Uh, Damien becomes like a monk seeking enlightenment, which is very interesting for Damien. And Jason Todd becomes a race car driver. Now, this is the kind of the cool part because we get half of that story. We see that and we're like, wow, it really seems like maybe Batman shouldn't have been involved. Like, they're doing great things out there. That their lives seem pretty good. But later in the issue, we see the second half where you find out why not only Batman needs Robin, but why does Robin need Batman? What happens in those scenarios that maybe aren't as rose-colored as the beginning would have you think. So, really cool issue. Cool to see kind of this what if. And also, the Robin's kind of reflecting on the way their lives could have gone. Like, what does that mean for Damien when he says, like, I was a monk at reaching enlightenment, but I've got all these anger issues and everything. This is a really great installment of Robins. We've got one issue left. We actually get some more Batman perspective in this, which is cool as well. So, definitely recommend that one. And here is our variant by Kari Randolph of Damien.
Okay, so more on the Bat family. Nightwing in particular. I read Nightwing issue number 90 today. So in this, it starts with the Bloodhaven underworld as they are again plotting the assassination of Dick Grayson. So not Nightwing, of Dick Grayson, because Dick Grayson, he inherited all the money from Alfred. He has vowed to clean up Bloodhaven, make it where basically the poor are doing well enough that the criminal element just doesn't have a way to control them. So he's had a target on his head for the last lot of issues, and they've already tried to kill him twice. In this issue, they're going to try a third time, but this time they've hired a new organization. The organization is called La Agente Funebre. So La Agente Funebre. They're some sort of new evil organization. I believe it's the first time they've ever been talked about in this. And this organization is so evil, they don't care about, like, if they want to kill you, they'll kill everyone around you too. So their plan is they're going to blow up the apartment building that Dick Grayson lives in, along with everybody else who's in the building. So you'll get to see how that sort of plays out if you read the comic. Wally West finds out, and this is after the fact, because, if I said he finds out and he comes to help, you'll just figure it doesn't happen. It does happen.
Yeah.
So after the fact, Wally West learns what happened, and because, he has Speed Force, he can be there in a minute. So he does show up to try to help his friend. And he also has some ideas on how can they make it where people stop wanting to kill Dick Grayson. They don't go through with these plans yet. It's just sort of starting in this issue. And what happens when all these people who wanted to kill Dick Grayson, what happens when it spills out onto people who just know him? Like, for instance, his sort of new girlfriend, Barbara Gordon. This issue also sees the return of KG Beast.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, so KG Beast, of course, is the one who shot Dick Grayson in the head.
Yeah.
So that's a big deal as well. And the team up between Nightwing and Wally West is going to continue. It's not over in this issue. It's continuing going forth. This cover is interesting to me because it looks like they're in a race, sort of like Flash and Superman style.
Yeah, but there's no competition.
There is none at all. Yeah, I mean, Nightwing, he's a great character, but yeah, that's just not.
He's limited by mortal feet.
Yeah. So we have this variant from Jamal Campbell, and then we have this very dark Federici variant in honor of the Batman movie.
Next up, I've got Amazing Spider-Man 92 Beyond. So we're not quite done with our Beyond story yet. There's one more issue, but they have enough time to slip in a Point Beyond issue. And this one, this is kind of a public service announcement that if you're reading Amazing Spider-Man, you're enjoying the Beyond story, you loved what happened where the what was behind Door Z and the monster and everything, but you're like, I skipped the dot whatever issues. Don't skip this one. If you like those stories, I will say the majority of them are wrapped up in this issue. So, no surprise that the villain of the Monster Z, or whatever they're calling it, the Creature Z, is defeated. It's defeated in this issue, and you find out how that is possible. If you want to find out what's going to be happening with Queen Goblin, that's in this issue. Every other than your main Peter Parker and Ben Reilly big storyline, everything else is wrapped up in this, along with the Misty Knight Colleen Wing story, the Monica Rambeau, which is our main story in here about her hiring the Daughters of the Dragon to infiltrate the Beyond Corporation. That is all in here. So I feel like this is a very important issue to kind of culminate a lot of the B and C stories that have been going on in Amazing Spider-Man that have been in the main thing. We've had full issues about those. They are mostly wrapped up in this. So pretty important issue. You've got a bunch of different writers on this, including Jed MacKay does one that is really, really good and kind of teases what is to come with a lot of these characters. Also, the entire facility that creates these supervillains, like the talking sandwiches or the snowman, that is dealt with here, and I'm guessing it's only going to be referenced in the next issue, so don't miss out on this one if you want to get the full story that's been going on in Amazing Spider-Man before it relaunches with a new number one. We also have the Bagley variant, your classic Spider-Man variant. And Spider-Man does not show up too much in this, so Spider-Man Light issue.
Okay, so Wonder Woman issue 785 is out today. This is part 3 of Trial of the Amazons. So on the cover it says Death of an Amazon. So previous issue, I really can't talk about this one without talking about this a little bit. Previous issue, Wonder Woman's mother, Hippolyta, has been murdered. And so now in this issue, the funeral is going on. It's a little past the funeral, honestly. And Wonder Woman, she announced this last issue, or last part of Trial of the Amazons. I think it was at the end of the Nubia issue. Mm-hmm. She announced she was going to use her lasso of truth on everyone to figure out who did it. And I thought that was smart. It's like, wow, we never hear of a character doing that. Like, I have this thing. I'll just use it on all of you to figure it out.
Without punching them first.
Right.
Usually that's the go-to.
But it does not go unchallenged. So I'm not saying that goes down as easily as you would expect. So there's another part where Wonder Woman confides in her secret thoughts to one of her oldest friends, her kangaroo Jumpa. So a lot of people don't know about Jumpa. It's been in news lately and such because this is a character way back from really early Wonder Woman, like I guess like maybe 60s Wonder Woman. And it turned out the Amazons, they rode kangaroos. I think they were in like maybe 2 issues and they kind of dropped it. And they're bringing it back now. And so Wonder Woman, she's with her kangaroo Jumpa. Beyond that, though, we're getting to the trial. And each of the 3 Amazon tribes in this issue announce who their champion is. So each tribe's allowed to have one champion. They each announce who it is. I'll just say there's no surprises with that. I think if you've been reading, you'll know what person each tribe's picking. The surprise comes when an extra person throws their hat in the ring and says, guess what? I'm competing, and I'm not doing it with any tribe. That's the surprise there. And it looks like that is going to go forward. So a lot of things going down in Wonder Woman issue 785. And then we got this awesome Nicola Scott variant for International Women's Day with all the different Wonder Women and Wonder Girls and such all gathered together. I mean, that's a no-brainer for a
Yeah.
good cover.
Okay, next up we have our check-in with Spawn for the week. We have this week the Scorched number 3 and King Spawn number 8. So both of these are really good. Just quickly, King Spawn, you learn more about why they want to make Spawn king and what happens when he kind of sits on the throne and why would the enemy want that. Really cool. And then in Scorched, the Scorched team are going on a mission to rescue Reaper, another classic Spawn character, from being kind of tortured by angels, but they have been cut off from heaven so long that they have mutated. It's a pretty cool scenario. But what is also really big about Scorched this week is we have the Todd McFarlane, Jim Lee, X-Men number 1 homage cover.
There it is. That's awesome.
Our part 1 of that, it's going to run for the next couple issues of Scorched to be the big connecting variant. But don't miss out on this one. Store's probably ordered up on it, but you never know. So definitely check your store to see if they have it.
I wonder when they get to the Magneto cover, which would be on the other side there.
Yeah.
I wonder if it's going to be just regular Spawn there, or if it's going to be a villain.
Yeah, it could be like that big demon Spawn,
Yeah.
or there's so many Spawns now. You could fill an entire X-Men roster with a version of Spawn. So yeah, definitely don't miss out on this one.
Okay, so on a small week, I thought I would do a little check-in with a indie comic that I haven't talked about in a little while. So I am going to do a quick little review of Basilisk number 8. This is from Boom Studios. It is a sort of horror series by Cullen Bunn. And the premise is you have a woman, our main protagonist, whose family was killed by this super-powered group of 5 people called the Chimera. Now, their superpowers relate each one to a different sense. So one has a power related to sight, and one has a power related to smell. And these powers are very deadly. I mean, they can kill like whole groups of people. And they, at one point, killed this woman's family. So throughout this series, she has been trying to hunt them down. One of the Chimera have turned against the others and is actually helping her do it. Okay, so where we're at now with issue number 8 is a few of the members of the Chimera have gotten killed at this point. But one of the members, one of the nastier ones, has been gaining their powers. So she's not just have one power, she has multiple powers. She's becoming just sort of like almost godlike with these powers. And we also learned a while back that they have these acolytes, this whole group who worships them as gods and kind of cleans up their messes and does their dirty work. So in this issue, can our main character and the one member of the Chimera who is not evil possibly defeat this one who has multiple powers, all the acolytes? It kind of comes to sort of a big battle moment that you'll see in this issue. But then there's a surprise ending which brings back characters that almost seem like they're from the first issue. So I don't know where the ending's going, but definitely a big turn point at the end of this issue, Basilisk number 8. So, and then we've got this Fiumara variant. And there's also a 1 in 25 virgin version of this variant we're selling to our customers for $25. I'd like to mention there's another 1 in 25 that is a Frizzen variant that's actually really, really good, but we are out of that one already.
Okay, checking in with Catwoman from this new run of Catwoman. I mean,
I like that cover.
She gets all up in your face.
I know, and the person's so angry. I mean, look at the balled up fist. Like, how dare you?
So this is Catwoman 41. And I've really enjoyed this. This is part 3 of this 4-part storyline that's dealt a lot with the crime families in Gotham that Catwoman has kind of found herself in the middle of. But this issue brings back a few classic characters, like on the cover, Onyx, who is a pretty formidable character, as well as a character I really like, a Grant Morrison created character, the Flamingo, makes a return. And when you find out what Flamingo's current job is, it is a pretty gnarly job, and less villain, more cleanup crew. So, really fun. I'm not going to try to explain the story because it's been going on. If you know all the stuff that's going on with these crime families and their kids and kind of taking over the roles of the organizations. But it's really fun. I really like this issue, and I will be interested to see where it goes from here because we've got that new character that has popped up, the guy who is kind of a fashionable criminal but vigilante, somewhat working with Catwoman. They do tease in the next issue that he's going to get his official name, which we already know what it is, but he kind of hasn't been christened with it yet. You know, no one's called him that yet. So, really cool. I've really enjoyed this run of Catwoman so far by Teenie Howard. And then we have the Frizen, the Batman variant. Some with Zoe Kravitz as Catwoman. This one actually has a couple of variants. Then we have the International Women's Day variant by Danny. And then we have the Tula Lotte variant. So a lot of covers for this Catwoman, but really nice ones.
All right, so I read Flash issue number 780. This is the third part in the War for Earth 3 crossover that they are doing. So, Wally and his two kids, Jai and Irie, return. They're back from Gemworld.
Mm-hmm.
You know, that whole plot line is done. That was a really, really fun plot line. And they catch up with Linda, you know, their mother, wife and mother. And we saw at the end of last issue, Linda had unexpectedly gotten speed powers.
Mm-hmm.
It's not really explained how. I mean, she was definitely in distress, which I think that has a lot to do with it. You know, worried about where her kids were and everything. Well, anyway, so it's a lot of like catch up, like families back together. What were you doing? They try to explain what was going on in Gemworld, and we get like, you know, characters talking over each other because so much went down there. Well, Linda wants to tell Wally she has these powers, but before she can, Wally makes it pretty clear he has a lot of stuff to catch up on and a lot on his mind, and so she internally decides, I'm going to wait for the right time to tell him this. You know, with the other kids having the powers and just everything that went down, she keeps it to herself. And so past that, the other story that relates with the Earth 3, the War for Earth 3 is Johnny Quick is working for Amanda Waller, and she sends him after the Cosmic Treadmill. Now, we don't know why. Maybe if you read it, you'll figure something out, but it doesn't come out and tell you why. And Wally West has to try to stop Johnny Quick from getting the Cosmic Treadmill, but all this is going to definitely pull him and quite possibly his family into this War for Earth 3. So the next part of the War for Earth 3 is continued in the next issue of Teen Titans Academy. So there is a variant for this, but we are out of it.
Which will be the same for my last one. This is Batman the Knight number 3. So this is I believe it's 10 parts. Yeah, 10-part Chip Zdarsky kind of Batman origin story, or Batman kind of how he got his skills series. So in the past 2 issues, he has been in Paris, where he has been learning kind of the craft of becoming a master thief, which he's going to kind of attempt to turn into good. You'll have to read it. It's really fun. But this one, so some of the places are saying it's the first appearance of the Foundling, which is a serial killer. That is true, but I wouldn't expect him. He may, turn out to be the ultimate villain in issue 10. But when Batman goes up against him, it doesn't look like he's going to be walking straight for a while. He's pretty roughed up. So yes, he's got a name, he's a character, but I don't expect to see him back anytime soon. And it looks like this is he's heading off to his next destination at the end of this. His time in Paris is over. He's going somewhere else to learn a new skill, which I'm excited to see where he goes. Thinking about all the different things Batman knows, is he going to go train with Ducard, or is he going to the Himalayas? We'll just
Right.
have to wait and see. But another fun issue of Batman the Knight.
All right, I think that's it. That is our show for today. So even though it was a little bit of a light week, still some things to talk about, some books to catch up on, and a few really big ones
Yep.
that are well worth coming out to your shop and picking up. So I guess that is it. We'll be back on Friday with Comics from the Future, where we show off all the comics that are still open order. We show off a lot of variant covers, like the day they're first available to view. So until then, have a great rest of your day, and we will see you next time.